והויו הנערו אשר אומר לאו, עתינו קדך, ואשתה, ואומרו שסה, וגם גמלךו אשכה. From this posik we learn halachos in hilchos brochos. Somebody made a moitzi, and before he ate, he was mafsik, and he spoke. The answer is many yesh merabo. Anything which is not me'inyan habrocho, it's a hefsik, and the brocho is a brocho levatolo, and he has to make a new brocho. Otherwise, it's eating without a brocho. But if it's mafsik l'tzoyrech or achilo, he says bring salt, it's not considered a hefsik, and he does not make again a moitzi. This is Loshen HaMechaber, Kuf Samech Zayin Sivov. Yoichal miyad velo yasiach ben brocho leachilo. Veim soch, tzorich, lachzor levorech, elo im kem hoiso sicho bedevorim me'inyan devorim shemevorchim olov. Kigoin, sheberach al apas, vekoidim sheochal omar haviyu melach, או ליפטון, תנו לפלוני לאכול, תנו מאכל לבהמה, וכיוצא בו אלו, אין צורך לבורך. So you are allowed to say, give to the behemoths to eat, even before you eat the hamoitzi. The makor of this is Gemara Masechet Brochos Daf Mem Amud Aleph, and Gittin Samech Beis Amud Aleph. Osur leodom leechol ad sheyiten lebehemto. Dom Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, v'nosati esev besotcho lebemtecho, v'hodor v'ochalto v'sovoto. Like Krishma we say, first you give the behemoths to eat, and then you eat yourself. So if you make a moitzi, and you say, before you eat the bread, gevil turi, mix with water the food, so my oxen will be able to eat, that is not a hefsek. Not only that, he doesn't have to wait till they give the food to the behemoths, he can eat right away. From today's parsha, the Mogen Avram asks Akasha, who drank first, Eliezer or the behemoths? The posuk says, Sheseh begam gemalecho ashke. And after he finished drinking, then she gave to the gemolim to drink. First the man, and afterwards the beast. That's the Mogen Avram's kasha. And Mogen Avram says that in Sefer Chasidim from Rabbi Yehuda HaChosid, the klal is only by achilo you magdim behema to an odom. Only by achilo, not by shesio. How do you know that? From Rivka. Since Rivka was magdim shesios odom, the behema, we learn from here that by shesio you are not magdim a behema to an odom. And the Yad Ephraim brings a meferish sheb'rayv from a posuk. It says in Parshas Chukas, v'hishkiso es ho'edo, and afterwards says ve'es ve'irom. By shesio, the edo comes before the be'irom, man before beast. And in Kriya Shema says, achilo is behema has kdima to an odom. V'nosati eise b'shotcho livhemtecho, and afterwards ve'ochalto ve'sovoto. We're talking about achilo, not by shesio. According to this, if somebody was mafsik before he ate the bread, and he says, give the behemoths to drink, that will be a hefsek, and he has to make again hamoitzi. This is the chidush from the Mogen Avram, based on the diuk of Sefer Chasidim of today's parsha, from Rivka and Eliezer. But the Chassam Sofer says there's a different reason why Rivka gave Eliezer before the behemoths. Nothing to do with Shesi and Achilo. The halacha has to be behemtecho, your behema, not the behema of somebody else. Since this behemoths did not belong to Rivka, Rivka was not mechuyeves to give the behemoths first, but to give the Ben Odom first, Eliezer first. And the Ksaf Sofer brings a raya to his father, the Chassam Sofer, from a Haloshon and a Gemara Masechet Gittin, Daf Samech Beis Amud Aleph. Omar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, Osur lo leodom sheyitem klum at sheyitem ma'achal li vehemtoi. To his behema. You see, it has to be his own behema, not somebody else's behema. According to this, if somebody was mafsik between a moitzi and the achilo, and he says, give the behemoths of my friend to eat, that's a hefsek. And the Pardes Yosef brings a raya b'shem the Imre Emes, the Gere Rebbe, from a posuk in Parshas Behar. Hoiso Shabbos hors v'chem le'ochlo, lecho, u'lavdecho, u'le'amosecho, u'le'schircho, u'le'soshovcho imoch, and afterwards says, u'levehemtecho, u'lechayo asher be'artzecho tiyekol tevuaso le'echol. He was magdim odom to the behema. This is against the posuk in Kriya Shema, that you are magdim a behema before her odom. And he answers, you need two tenoim, your own behema and your own food. Then the halacha is the behema has kdima. But if it's not your behema or it's not your food, the odom has kdima. The posuk in Parshas Behar is talking about shmita, shviz. The food is hefker, it's not my food. So the Torah is magdim the odom to the behema. That's the raya from the Imre Emes, that you need two things. You need his food and his behemoths. And the Ksav Sofer goes into a new level of questions. What is the halacha on Shabbos and on Yontif? Are you mechuyev to give the behemoths to eat only on the weekdays because there's no chiyuv to eat in the weekdays? Then the behema has kdima. But Shabbos and Yontif, since it's a mitzvah to eat, maybe the kedushas mitzvahs achila has kdima to the achila from the behema. And the nafkimina would be, if you're allowed to be mafsik between a moitzi and the achila, to be metzavet to give the behemoths to eat, could be dafki in the weekdays, it's considered tzorech achila. But in Shabbos b'Yontif, it's not considered tzorech achila, and maybe it is a hefsek, and you have to make again a moitzi. So the Ksav Sofer wants to be machmir both ways. Like atchila, give the behemoths before you eat on Shabbos b'Yontif. But if you forgot to give the behemoths and you already made a moitzi, you should not be mafsik, because maybe Shabbos and Yontif, the Odom has kdima to behema. It's a sofek. Then the next chayey is, what happens if somebody was mafsik on Shabbos b'Yontif and he said, Tenu behema lechol, gevil turoi. Does he have to make a moitzi again or not? The klal is sofik brochos lehokel. And since on Shabbos and Yontif is a sofik, if there is a chiyuv to be magdim the behema to the odom, maybe it's not a hefsek, maybe it's letzorech achilo, and it's mutar katchila to be mafsik, and maybe he's not allowed to eat before he gives the behemoths to eat. So that's called letzorech. And this gufa, he has a sofik, if he's mechuyev to give the behemoths, and he gives the behemoths usually to eat before, that is considered letzorech. Or maybe the whole reason why he has to be magdim the behemoths is only misofik chumra. Aber mikra din, he's not mechuyev to give the behemoths to eat before he eats. Mitzad chumra, you don't say that it's letzorech hu achilo, and it is a hefsek. So it's a tzorech in la halacha. This is the Ksav Sofer. In Sefer Matame Yankov asks on the Magen Avram that he wants to say that by shesiyo you don't say the halacha of behemo koidim, and his raya is from Rivka. What's the raya from Rivka? Maybe the halacha is that even by shesiyo you have to give the behemos koidim. The reason why Rivka did not give the behemoths koidim is because the halacha is, once you say, I'm going to give the behemoths, I'll take care of the behemoths myself, then you'll have to give to a person. The moshel, when the person says, Gevil turoi, give my behemoths to eat, he doesn't have to wait until they give the behemoths to eat. It's enough that he reminds the people to give the behemoths to eat. But he is allowed to eat right away. Same thing is with Rivka. She said, I'm going to give you to drink, and don't worry, I'll give the gemalim also to drink. So what is the Magen Avram's raya? That by shesiya you don't have to be magdim a behema. And also, like the Chasam Sofer said before, since it was not the behemoths of Rivka, she was not mechuyeves to be magdim the behemoths to the odom. So what's the raya from the Magen Avram from Rivka? That by shesiya you are magdim odom to behema. In Sefer Megillah Sefer wants to say that the raya was from vateichal lehashkoisoi, and she finished giving him to drink, and then she gave to the gemalim. How come Eliezer drank before? Why didn't Eliezer give to the behemoths before? Elamai will learn from Eliezer that you have to drink before you give the behemoths to drink, and you don't have to be magdim the behemoths to drink. That's the raya from the Magen Avram, not from Rivka, but from Eliezer. So from here is a raya like the Magen Avram, not like the Chasam Sofer. The Magen Avram says by shtesiya you don't have to be magdim the behema. The Chasam Sofer says there's no raya from here, because we're talking about here the behemoths of Eliezer. So how does the Chasam Sofer learn? How was Eliezer able to drink before he gives the behemoths? It's his own behemoths. So Megillah Sefer says that Eliezer was not koine the water. It wasn't his water. He told Rivka, Hagmi'ini no me'at mayim mikadech. Pour water inside my mouth. So this way he's not koine the water, because once he's koine the water in a cup, in a pitcher, he will have to give the behemoths to drink first. So the Shittas Chasam Sofer is, even for shesiya, behemoths have kdima. As long as it's your behemoths, you have to give the behemoths first. So Eliezer said, don't let me be koine the water. Pour it straight into my mouth. This way I can drink before. But this is totally in the shaila. If a guest, a oreach, is koine the food and he's considered his own food, can he be mekadesh an isha with the food that the balabos gives him? The oreach takes a piece of food and he gives that to an isha. Arei ad mekudeshes li machal zu. If it is his own food, she's mekudeshes. If it's not his food, she's not mekudeshes. In Shulchan Aruch Ibn Ezra, Siman Chof Chesiv Zayin, the Ramo brings down, oreach sheyoshef eitzel balabais, benot al chelko, vekidesh boy have mekudeshes. And the Mekor from this Ramah is Shilte Giborim in Hagos Alfasi. And that's the case over here. If Eliezer would take the food, the water with his hands, he would be koine. It's his water, it's his behemoths. He has to be magdam the behemoths first. So the Chasam Sofer has still a right to his shita. Even by Shesiyo, you cannot bring a right from Rivka. And even by Shesiyo, behemoths have kdima. But we can bring a right of Magun Avram from Agimore Mesechta Chulin. Tzadik Dalet Omed Aleph. Ein orchim reshoim liten mima שלפניהם לבנו או לביתו של בעל הבית, אלא אם כן not לו רשות מבעל הבית. So special din, a guest is not allowed to give to the children of the בעל הבית from the food that they got from the בעל הבית. This food is for the guest, not for the children of the בעל boss, unless the בעל הבית gives the shoes. So the Loch in Shulchan Aruch, Kuf Ayin Siv Yutes. Eliezer was a guest by Rivka. So even if he gets the food from Rivka and his koine, he is not allowed to give to the gemalim unless he asks for the shoes. Maybe that's the reason why Eliezer drank first. The oilam, he was koine the food, and he could be mekadesh and nisha with his food. But he's not to give the food to somebody else, like the Gemara says in Chulin. So how come the Ramah says that you could be mekadesh and nisha with the food of the balabais? The answer could be that this halacha that you cannot give to the children of the balabos, only to the children of the balabos. Because the maise shehoyu kachoyu. There was shnasa betzores, the Gemara says. 3 guests came to a house of a balabos. These balabos were also 3 people. He, his wife, and his child. He did not give his child to eat. Instead, he gave the guests, each one egg. And he left the room, and the child was left without food. So what did the Orechim do? Each one divided the egg in half, and they gave that half to the child. And each Oreach ate half an egg. When the father walked in and he saw his child with 2 halves of an egg in his hand, and his mouth full with the other half of the egg, he understood that the Orechim gave him half of their portion. He was makpit, and he beat up his child until he died. His wife saw that, and she ran up to the roof, and she jumped off the roof, and she died. He followed and did the same thing. Because the Orechim gave the balabos son to eat, 3 people died. The father, the mother, and the child. Since then, with Merag Gezeiro, a person is not allowed to give food to the child of the balabos unless he has reshus from the balabos. So this is only a Gezeiro mishun maishes shehoyo, like the Mishabru brings down in Simen Kuf Ein Sif Koton Mem. But a guest is allowed to take the food from the balabos that he was given and be mekadesh anisha. It's his food. Memelo, if Eliezer would gotten the pitcher of water on his hands, he would be koine the water, and then he would have a chiyuv to give the behemoths first to drink. The meilo, from here is a right to the Chasam Sofer, that even by Shesiyo, we give the behemoths first, and according to the Chasam Sofer, there is no hefsek by saying, after Hamoitzi, give the behemoths to drink. But according to the Magun Avram, it is considered hefsek, and you will have to make again a moitzi.